Okay, so let's do the test this time with this image that was shot at ISO 12,800. First thing I want to mention is this image needs to be lightened, and it also needs to have some color balance corrections applied to it. And I'll do that in this piece of software, as I've mentioned before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to output DNG files, and then I'm going to open up both in Camera Raw, and then I'm going to make the same adjustments. So let's get started with that. Process with preview. Now, the first thing I want to do is come over here and choose DNG and turn off that guy. I'm going to come over to here and choose this. We have DeepPRIME 3 as our chosen. Luminance, force detail, all the same. And the same thing with the optical corrections. They're all identical. All right. Now, I want to zoom in on this a little bit more just to see what's actually going to happen here. So if I click on this guy, give it a minute to update. There you go. All right. So I'm just going to move this split screen divider left and right. Move it left. Move it right. This is the original file. Look at all the color noise. Never mind the luminance noise. It's absolutely amazing what this software is doing to get rid of it. All right. Let's go over to the output panel. DNG. And I'm going to go to the 12,800 folder. I'm using processing method in the file naming convention. All right, so let's get this one done. Now that that one's done, let's just get out of this and select the image again. And this time, process with preview. I want to come back over to the first panel and I want to choose XD2s. I don't have to zoom in at 100%. Everything is the same here. And the destination folder is the same with processing method there. I'm going to click on process now. I'm going to stop the video. And then once it's processed, I'm going to start up again. Okay, so it looks like that one's done. Let's go to the Finder. And we can see that we have both of these DNG files here. So I'm going to select them both. I'm going to right click on this guy and I'm going to choose Open With. I'm going to choose Adobe Photoshop. What that's going to do is it's going to take me into Adobe Camera Raw. There we go. And I have both images here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both of them and I'm going to see if I can change the exposure and all that other fun stuff. Let's try auto and see what that does. That is absolutely horrible. I'm going to undo that. Yikes. Don't know what that was all about. All right, let's come in here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I need to brighten things up. So I'm going to do something like that. I'm also coming to the color. And I'm just going to choose auto for that. And that's very nice. Liking this a lot. So let's just zoom in on this a little bit and see what we've got going on. All right. I've got my color balance going on and I've lightened this enough that we can actually see some of the texture and detail in the dark areas. Both images are being affected equally. So what I can do now is click on, make sure that both of them are selected, and I'm going to choose to open these. And when I open them, I'll open them up in Photoshop. Let's go. All right, so here we go. Now we're going to do the same thing as we did last time. So I've got the XD2s DNG, and I'm going to drag that over to the DeepPRIME 3. And then I'm going to close this off. Don't save anything. And this one is going to be XD2s. And then I'm going to Command 1 to zoom in. And we're going to just bring this about here. And then I'm going to turn this guy on and off. And it's obvious right there. It's obvious right there. So let's just see. if I come in here and I'm just going to look where his fingers of his glove are, just over to the right of that, and you can see that we have a little bit of static, noise, whatever. And if I turn that off and go to this guy, you can see that we have drastically much more. Again, XD2s for these files shot with this camera and lens combination seems to be better. Let's just check out this here and see if there's anything that could help us make other determinations. No, I think we're kind of good here with this stuff. Yeah, we're good. We're good. I want to check this out. And that's with that's the XD2s. And then if I come over here and click on this one and go there, oh, you can definitely see the dark areas along the light squiggly line here is a little more crunchy, a little more jagged. And then if I come over here and do this and come back in here, you can see it's much smoother. Now that smoother may not be the best thing for all images. And that's why we have the force detail slider, so that maybe we can leave the luminance noise reduction at 40, but increase the force details a little bit more. That all is something that you're going to have to experiment with in your files. Okay, so we're done with this. So I'm going to close this and not save it. This image here was shot at ISO 200. So let's just see how different things are going to work with this guy. Again, I want to do a DeepPRIME 3, export it as a TIFF, and I want to do an XD2s/XD and export it as a TIFF. So let's get going. So here we go. We're in the, let's go over here and start off with, I'm going to come over here and start off with DeepPRIME 3. I want to just come over here and click on the 100% so we can zoom in on this so you can see what's going to happen with the different processing methods and with the different lens sharpness optimization choices that we have. Okay, well, I think it's quite obvious right now. If you take a look at the rocks here, you can see that it's drastically. I mean, just take a look here. Just take a look at that. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, hey? It's crazy what this software is able to extract from this stuff. And let's just take a look at feathers for the bird here. And if I do this, you can see how they're softer and now there's more detail. Absolutely stunning. Now, I'm wondering if I change this, and this is going to give you, this I think is going to give us a good idea of how the different lens sharpness optimization options work. So I'm going to go to soft, and I think you saw a little blip in the screen around the feathers of the bird, and they did definitely get softer. So I'm going to go now to standard, and you can see that they are sharper. If I go to strong, it's intensified, but also looking here, I also want you to kind of look here and look in the rock here. And then now I'm going to go and choose hard. And I think you're going to say, yeah, that's a little bit too much for this lens and camera sensor combination. So let's go back to standard, just keeping everything standard as we did. We've got all these choices are set the same. I'm coming over here and I'm going to choose a TIFF file again. And I'm going to put this in a custom folder. This time it's going to be the ISO 200 folder. And we're going to go with process method and export and nothing. Let's go. Let's do it. Press process now. Okay, so that was quick. I'm just going to close this off. And I'm going to select this guy again. I'm going to come over and choose process with preview. I'm going to go back up to the top. icon here, and I'm going to choose XD2s. All these guys are the same. I'm going to come down here, and everything else is the same as it was before. Okay, and I'm just going to click process. Okay, so there we go. We're done. Let's see what's cooking. And we have these two guys here. So I'm going to select both of them. Double click, bring them into Photoshop. I'm going to take the XD2s and put it on top of the DeepPRIME 3. Rename it just so we don't forget. And then I'm going to Command 1 to come up to 100%. Just move this over so we get more of the bird. There we go. All right, so now that's the XD2s, and that's the DeepPRIME 3. Let's check it out. This time, it's very, very subtle. I want you to take a look at this area here. Let's just go in a little bit more. Yikes. And just come over here and see. Let's just bring all of this into view here. And now this is the XD2s, where we're theoretically getting some more detail. And I want you to take a look at the head of the bird, the white feathers, and then the orangish part of the neck and bill, beak, whatever you want to call it. And then this rock over here. So I'm going to turn this off. Turn it on. Turn it off. Turn it on. It's subtle, but it's there. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, at this point, at low ISOs, maybe I can get away with DeepPRIME 3 and not necessarily use XD2s. But just knowing that there's a little bit more detail being extracted under the default settings that we used, that I might just want to stay with XD2s. The only way I'm going to know any different is if I do a lot of extreme testing with this software at the various force detail and luminance slider values. I don't believe I want to increase the luminance noise reduction slider, but I may want to increase the force detail slider to see if I can get a little bit more detail out of the image. If you want to do your own testing with your own images, and when you come up with your conclusions, if you want to leave those in the comments, I'd be more than happy to read them and give some feedback. All right, so let's close this guy off. We don't need this anymore. No, we don't need that. We don't need that anymore. And now we're going to go into the RAF files. And I'm going to pull this guy out of here. And I'm going to pull this guy out of here. So this one is ISO 4000. And that's the one I want to work with. All right. That's what we're talking about. So let's get out of this and we'll start her up again. And this time I'm going to add some images. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And there we go. So now we've got that. These are Fujifilm guys. And I'm going to start off with the 4000 ISO. And this was shot with the X-T2 body, if I'm not mistaken. I was a Nikon shooter for decades, and I wanted to test out the Fujifilm X-Series cameras to see whether or not they met my criteria. And so I rented the X-T2 for a while, and then when the X-T3 came out, rented that, and I said, I'm in, let's get it. And I waited for the X-T4 to come out because it had IBIS and it had a better battery. It's only 26 megapixel sensor, but man, oh man, can it produce some files. Okay, so let's go over here. I'm going to click on this guy here, And I could come in and let's go over to this. And I'm going to go and choose, this is exposed kind of good. So I don't need to do a DNG, really. I can just get away with that. So it automatically, see, the software automatically recognized the file format, that it's a Fujifilm thing, and chose this, and won't let me do the XD2s, but it will let me do a DeepPRIME 3. So let's go over here and just come in at 100. Just wait for some updating to happen. While we're waiting for the update to happen, we can actually look over here and see that none of these other values have changed. None have changed. And coming over here, I'm just going to use a TIFF. I'm going to browse to put these guys in this folder. Choose that one. And just check that the process version is going to be appended to the file name. And now we just have to wait for this to update. Okay, so now I'm just going to see what's going on here. And you can see the noise that's in this image. You can see the noise for sure. There's no question about it. And you can see how this detail has been enhanced. Holy smokes. I mean, check out the gloves and the pads and all that kind of stuff. I mean, this is absolutely insane how good this stuff is. All right, let's do this. And we'll come back once it's processed. Okay, so now that that's done, let's click on here to dismiss the dialog box. I'm going to click and choose this Fujifilm file. It was shot at the X-T4's base ISO of 160. So I'm going to come back over here and it automatically selects that. I'm going to leave all these guys as defaults. And I'm going to choose to come in here and go into come in here, go to the 160. There we go. Now I'm going to go up here and bring up to 100. And we're going to see what's going on with this. I think you're going to be a little bit amazed at even the lowest ISO that at least my Fuji X-T4 can go at, how this cleans up the image. So let's give it a second to update, and then we can start navigating around the image to see the quality that gets generated. Okay, so at this point, I think I can see there's a heck of a difference, and I'm just looking at the barn wood here, and you can see that the barn wood here has more detail than the barn wood here. And the only way to really find out is to move this split view slider across. And, oh, absolutely. Check that out. This area here. Yeah. Wow. Same thing over here. That's absolutely amazing. Let's scroll up a little bit or scroll down a little bit to see some other areas. Now I'm going to have to give this screen a second to update. I'm actually really impressed with what I'm seeing with the Fujifilm. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness. Look at this. Look at this. This is absolutely stunning. Wow. Fujifilm users of the X-T series, except for the X-T5, are going to just absolutely love this. Wow. Come back here for a second. Yeah, this is absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. I'm going to process this because I love it. Let's just come down here for a sec and see if I can get something else. It'll update. Yeah, let's give it a second. Wow. That is just ridiculous. I mean, look at the rock here. Look at the rock here. And the rock here. Look at the bale of hay. Oh, come on. This is ridiculous. In a good way. Oh my, even the tire treads. Holy moly. Wow. I can't wait to start printing some of these images. Let's process this, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so the processing is done, and let's just dismiss this box, or let's just go see the Finder. What do we got? There we go. And yeah, okay. So what I want to do is I want to open this in Photoshop. I want to see something at 100% view. Oh my goodness gracious. Look at that. Look at this detail. Oh my. Now, this was shot on the X-T4. And if I come down here, we're going to see that it was with the 23mm f1.4 lens. It's a stunning lens as well. All right. So this concludes the first two videos on PureRAW 5.3. Next, I want to discuss the masking panel, the custom presets that are available in the output panel, and working from within Adobe Lightroom Classic. All the links to these videos will be down in the description section. Thanks for watching, and I hope you got something out of it. Don't forget to click the subscribe and whatever other notification bells and dingles and whistles that are down there, so you will be notified when I create yet one more DxO video.